Hey, Laurie Scott from Marysville, wherever WA is. I don't know the places over there, but Wisconsin? No.
Washington State.
Washington. I should have guessed that first.
Should have. WA.
The A was a giveaway.
Lori's new. It's her first time. She doesn't even know who you are.
I don't know who I am. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Who I am doesn't really matter. It's just part of the equation here in the world, isn't it? Who am I? What am I here for? Why is everything so crazy? Well, I'm just having hot chocolate and a biscuit. I've got Tina, do you know about pop-ups, how to stop them? I have all these things.
Oh, no, I actually don't. I don't have those things. Probably you have to do an ad blocker. Yeah, you know what? I'll send you an ad blocker.
I don't know why I picture you as someone who knows about these things.
I know anybody thinks I know stuff. I make everything up. I'm making the whole thing up.
Exactly. There's the whole thing, isn't it? I'm just making it up as we go along.
I have.
So what do you do, Laurie? What do you do, Laurie, in Washington?
I make up this world that I think is real.
Me too.
It can be quite entertaining and quite disturbing all at the same time.
The disturbing is the entertaining part of it.
Yes.
We love the disturbance. We hate it when everything's just normal.
Oh, it gets so boring.
We tend to get antsy and fidgety and everything's just too perfect. Is what's the name? Vivian, is she joining us today, Tina?
I don't know. I sent her a message today. She was on my heart. So I don't know.
I was thinking about her too, whether she watched The Matrix or not, because somebody sent me something Matrix oriented.
Which scene?
It just reminded me of her, and I thought, oh well.
Yeah, I sent somebody the scene too. One of the scenes.
Oh, maybe that was you.
I don't think so. It wasn't. I didn't send it to you. I sent the scene with the Oracle. I sent that scene, that one and the one with Morpheus and Neo. Anyway, so many scenes. I don't know.
Doug, what's happening?
Well,
world's most prolific artist.
I am very prolific.
You are.
Yes, that's true.
And very good.
Oh well.
I should say.
Well,
as far as good and bad goes in this place, you're very good.
Right. Well, thank you. So today I was making up this thought that a coworker was really out just to correct me that he doesn't like me. He's made it a point to only see the bad in me, to follow me so that he can just notice my mistakes, and that he secretly hates me and probably wants to kill me. And I only concluded the very worst at the end, that I might as well just drag it all out, that he's very jealous, of course, very jealous of my, talent and my good work ethics, and something to do with his family history. And so then I figured I would just draw it all out, and he really hates me, and we're probably going to have a fist fight.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
I don't think you could cram anything more in there if you tried.
No, I don't think
that's like as much honesty as you could sort of fit into one time frame kind of, association with anything, I think.
That's what I was trying.
Oh, that's good. Did you remember to laugh at that thinking you were making up, or did you take it on board?
Well, I've been working at laughing at it since I left work. Right. You know what that means. Some success and some, not
I've
so
been
much.
working at it means no, I totally fell into the rabbit hole and now I need a miracle.
Well, that's why I'm here, because because of the miracle thing.
All right. So one of my teachers, Greta, used to say you need to get on the floor and wear out the carpet with your knees.
Right.
That's where you should be.
I
But
do
there's no accidents you're here. I mean, you're reminding me to laugh anyway, so thanks for that.
I do best on my knees.
Right. Yeah, most people do.
I always feel very comfortable down there.
It's like a place where sometimes you just don't want to get up from there because it means you're going to have to go out the front door again and, face the other kinds of thoughts that you have about other things that are going to come back, and you're going to have to cram them into some little space and
Right.
sort of try to look at it from all kinds of different angles with your pointy little brain and see how it is you're going to forgive it. And
It's
nah.
like leaving a meditation, the meditation ends and it's like, oh no. Not
That's
that.
that's like dissociative meditation. It's like there shouldn't be any oh no. There should be like no difference between the moment where you're meditating and the moment where you're actually not meditating at the same thing, because it's like you don't exist at all. It's only the difference in your identity with it.
I was
It's like
going for
that's
the
what. Hey.
I was going for the laugh, trying to get you to laugh.
Oh yeah. I've been through it. Yeah, it's not that funny. It's like the whole world's actually not that funny. Jesus says all of time and space is a mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh, but it's like once you've had a good laugh at it, it's like, now what?
Right.
All right, I've had a good laugh, Jesus. Now what?
Yes.
It's like one of the things he said to me one day. Ted was given this talk, and I was sitting there listening. And in those days, I used to do the music, right? So we'd have this massive meditation room. It was enormous. You could fit like 200 people in there. It'd be crowded, but you could fit 200 people. And we had this stereo system and a TV where we'd show healing videos and things like that. And most of the time I would do the music. I wasn't really participating in the meditation per se. But he was talking about having an experience, and you need to have an experience and all of this sort of thing. And I'm thinking, well, I've already had this experience. It's like, what am I supposed to experience or something? And Jesus spoke to me and he said, what more could you possibly want? He didn't sound angry, but he sounded kind of like he was talking to the stupid guy in the class, like, what more could you possibly want? Like that. It was kind of assertive. And it caught me unawares, it's like he didn't speak to me very often. And I said, I don't know. And I said it out loud. And he said, well, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. That's what he told me, exactly those words. And I was sitting on the little table. So I just sat back like that, and I'm just watching everything. And everything just became this kind of pantomime, this play, this sort of like theatrical playing out of stuff, including my teacher, Ted, and everybody else that was there. There would have been 50, 60 people that day. And I kind of got a sense that the laughing bit was done, like like I've forgiven myself for that idea. I've forgiven myself for my belief in the possibility of separation. And it's like, at a certain point, what am I going to do? Keep forgiving myself? Just again and again. It's like, no, I only need to do that once. It only needs to occur once. The Holy Spirit takes my willingness to forgive myself the world I think I made and transfers that to everything. I need do nothing. I sit back, right? It's like Jesus said to me, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. It's like there's a point you get to where you realize you're done. And that was another thing he said to me. So, but there's a point you get to where you realize, oh, hang on a minute, I've already forgiven the world, right? Not because of anything I've done, My part in it is just like, you know, like people make dominoes and they all fall against each other and they all fall. Each of us is like a domino. Jesus is the one at the front. He already fell, right? Or actually he resurrected, but he already fell. He's knocked over all the rest. When it was my turn to fall, I had no choice but to fall, right? Because it was me that fell, bang, and I knocked the next one, the next one, the next one. I don't have to worry about who is the next ones that are falling or who the ones were before. All that I have to worry about is, or nothing really, but all I have to worry about is I fell, I've done what I needed to do. That's it. All right. I forgave. That's all that matters. Everything else is just the blessed residue. Right. What seems to appear still as residue in time and space seems to appear still as witness to the mad idea of separation and everything else is nothing more than just the residue disappearing like mist before the sun, blah, 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 however he puts it in the course, right? But that's all it is, right? Now, you can learn to look at it that way now, right? You're a domino somewhere in that long, long line of the sonship dominoes. The time for your awakening has already been set in your mind by God. When it's your time to fall, it's going to fall. It's going to happen anyway. Okay. The idea that you would have to kind of examine it and look at it and try to work it out and work out how you're going to forgive those thoughts about that person. It's like, hang on a minute. At some point, my domino is going to fall. I can take it verbatim then. It may as well be that it's already fallen, right? Because what's possible is inevitable, right? Time is the idea of possibility. What's possible is inevitable. Nature abhors a vacuum. There's no lack in God. You're included, right? Let that be who you are now. I'm forgiven now. All of this workbook stuff, all of these lessons, all of this looking at everything that seems to be going on for me and the stories I make up is how it happened, right? Now, when you can start to see it that way, you actually kind of give yourself a break. You step back from it. You're stepping back. It's like you're becoming the observer of it. It's like, oh, hang on a minute. This is a part of my dream that already I awoke from somewhere. I've already forgiven this. Okay. And leave that space empty. I've already forgiven this because Jesus already came to forgive the world and done it. I'm part of that. Okay. Now, let me leave the space called forgiveness open in my willingness to forgive and simply sit back and relax and enjoy the ever-loving arms of God and the grace of God in my life, rather than worrying about how it is that I think I'm going to approach this situation with my co-worker or my whatever, and let it happen, right? Just let it happen automatically, because it will, by the grace of God, okay? Not by the grace of Doug or the grace of Dave or the grace of, although that's included because you're part of it, but by the grace of God, okay? It's the same thing as not interfering, right? Let me not interfere. Let me not put my own 2 cents worth into this situation and try and work it out, because I'm the one that made it up in the first place. With my same mind that made it up in the first place is the same mind I'm going to try and work it out with. What, are you kidding? Why would I do that unless I'm absolutely crazy? That's why I need a miracle. That's what I need a miracle for. Not to forgive that guy, not to forgive myself for my thoughts about them, but because I'm crazy. I think I'm separate from God. Yes. I think that there's a part of my mind that has something somehow to do with this, and it doesn't.
Yes.
Right?
That's
it's
good.
like, holy cow, I'm free already? Yes. You mean Jesus already resurrected and we're all back in eternity now? Yes. Now, live from that place. Right? Your mind's always going to make up a story about this, about that, about this, about that. It's like it's pretty much a given, right? It's going to drive you batshit crazy if you don't teach yourself how not to listen to that voice, right? That's all that's going on here. I'm crazy. I need a miracle, right? The more miracle-minded you become, the less association you're going to have with what it is you think you are as that thing that's crazy, And the more peaceful your life's going to become automatically, right? Because your participation or your willingness to collaborate or cooperate with the miracle in you just stepping back and letting it do what it needs to do in you is part and parcel with I wouldn't say sanity, but part and parcel with reality, right? It's reality that you need to experience in your own mind, not Doug trying to work it out so you can have an experience of reality.
Yes.
Okay, it's different. Otherwise, you'll be working out this situation and that situation until the cows come home, which could be billions of years. I'm not sticking around billions of years. I'm like, hopefully this incarnation will be enough. I don't know. Yeah, hallelujah. So in the acceptance, oh, I'm already done. Right. It's the same thing. Remember our declarations class? It's like, I'm declaring that I'm whole and that I'm perfect and that I'm free, because that's how I was created. God created me perfect. God created me whole as spirit. I am that now. I'm not this thing, this avatar, this Dave, reading 365 lessons. So hopefully I'll be that at the end. I'm that now. Okay. Everything else that is seemingly getting in the way of me remembering that I'm that now is part and parcel of the idea that I'm completely batshit crazy, why I need a miracle, right? Wear out the carpet with your knees. Yeah. But the last thing anybody wants to do is wear out the carpet with their knees. If you truly knew the magnitude of the experience, the magnitude of the memory of God, you would never get up off the carpet. You would be there. You would be flat on your face and you'd be like so penitent, like you'd wear a groove in the floor. Yeah. But because we've forgotten, because we're profoundly, I wouldn't say ignorant, because we know what we're doing, but because we're profoundly addicted to playing out this part, to playing out this game of separation, right? The rules, which we know so well, because there really aren't any other than don't establish any rules, right? Because as soon as you establish a rule, there's a parameter there that you can be held accountable to for it. Does that make sense? Right? But because we're so addicted to it, we love it. It's what we think. It's what we think reality is. Oh, I've got a problem. I can fix it, right? And then along comes A Course in Miracles. I've got a problem, I can fix it on a whole spiritual level, using the same mind that makes the problem, right? Taking it up a notch on a spiritual level to try and look at the same sorts of dramas. It's like, no, you need a miracle. The best thing to do when you realize that you're making up a story about someone or something, apart from put your finger on your nose, hang on, this is only thoughts I have about myself that I don't want to look at. I'm projecting it onto someone, projecting it onto some situation, event, whatever. And then I get the results of it. And in this modality, I get the results of it because I'm being told that I'm getting the results of my own thinking, right? Prior to picking up the Course in Miracles, I get the results of it and I don't even know why. Why does shit keep happening to me? Why do I keep feeling terrible? Why do I feel fearful when I see this person or have that encounter or whatever, right? It's because I'm projecting and never taking responsibility. Okay. But when you pick up A Course in Miracles, the natural tendency of the mind is to want to read the Course and to want to process what it thinks the Course is saying with the same mind that is in denial of what it's saying. Right? It's crazy. You can't do it. It doesn't work. You need a miracle. Yes. Right? Jesus is telling you straight to your face, you're doing this to yourself. Here's a book. It'll teach you how to become miracle-minded so you can have a miracle, right? It doesn't say anywhere in the book that now you can look at your situations and events differently by using the same mindset that you put yourself into the problem with in the first place with. It doesn't say that. It says you can use that mind to ask for help. That's about it. Right? It says you're entitled to miracles because you're a child of God. There's nowhere in that book I've ever read that where it says, hey, Dave, you got this. It's okay. You can do this. It says, no, you need to become completely dependent on God. You need a miracle.
Yes.
Something not of your own making. It's like, and initially it's like, why is that, Lord? Why do I need a miracle? Because I still think there's things about the world I like. I still think there's good things here as opposed to bad things in other countries or whatever. You know, it's crazy. It's all an illusion. It's all not true. I need a miracle. We're going to get that tattooed right there. I need a miracle. In reverse, so when you look in the mirror, you can read it.
It's all true.
Right, it's all true, but it's all not true as well. Right? It's all true, but it's all not true as well. The opposite of life isn't death, it's another form of life. But it's like, do you really want to hang around here once you've seen what it is? Once you've seen it for what it's really representing, do you really want to maintain some kind of an affiliation with the world? Or are you willing to give up the world and follow me? You know? It's like every day, every moment, every minute, every second, it's like Jesus is calling or God is calling on my willingness to forgive, to save me, right? Somewhere in my mind, I'm already saved. Somewhere in my mind, the idea of being saved is ridiculous. What am I going to be saved from? Right? An illusion. But the illusion seems very persistent while I find myself seemingly within the framework of it. But whether I seem to be within the framework of it or not, it's whether I'm going to keep reacting to it, whether I'm going to keep making up stories in my head about it. It's like, wouldn't you like to have a peaceful mind? Wouldn't you just like peace? Wouldn't you just like no chit chat in there?
Yes.
Right. Now, don't fill in the blank. You said yes, leave the next space blank. Watch this space. Let's see how long you can say yes for and not interfere. That's why it's mind training, not working it out. Just ready? We say God is, and then we cease to speak. Don't hold your breath. That's the point of liberation, right? There's a point of or realization, I should say. Liberation, you don't need liberation, you're already free. But the place when you meditate, right? And I'm talking about like traditional meditation, not what we do as our light meditation sort of thing, but a traditional meditation where you would be still. Actually, I think we did one once, didn't we, Tina? We sat and, right. So a more traditional style or a more acknowledged style of meditation. But you sit there in the now, right? Or you sit there in the present or the oneness or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter what you call it. And you simply wait in a posture of inner listening, right? Perhaps you've asked a question and you're waiting for an answer that you'll hear if you're willing to listen deeply enough. But personally, I don't have any questions these days. When I first started, I had tons. What does this mean, Jesus? What does that mean, Jesus? Right? The guidance was thick and fast, and nowadays is really nothing. But when you listen with an openness, without any questioning, without any doubt, which is what questions represent, when you listen there with that openness of mind, what happens is you begin to experience the light directly. Right? The question, if you're questioning stuff still and asking questions and waiting for answers, that's fine, but it still represents denial, right? And therefore the light experience directly or light communication has to wait because you'd be too fearful of it. The question represents your fearful nature. When you have no fearful nature left, you just don't have anything, you don't question anything. There's just this total acceptance and a total abidance in everything as it is, including your spiritual predilections, the Course in Miracles or the Bible or anything like that that you've been sort of tussling with, trying to wrap your head around it and everything like. All of a sudden that just goes. Right? It's like where Jesus says, "And now forget this course." There's a point in your mind, because resurrection has already occurred in you. There's a point in your mind also where you have already forgot this course, where you don't need it. Right? It's done what it needs to do in you. You've used it, you've applied it, you've asked for the miracle, boom, shanka, you've been reborn. Okay. What that looks like for you individually, I don't know. There's a whole orchestration of things. There's a whole bunch of other dominoes that have to fall first and all this other sort of stuff that goes on. All I know is that it's useful when you're doing the workbook lessons and reading the course and stuff. It's kind of like you can't not read it. You can't put it down. You can't sort of put it aside until it's your time to do that, because it keeps you in a frequency of association with your own salvational, I don't know what I'm trying to reach for here, but your own process, right? It's like all of a sudden I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the water, I'm looking at the water, then one day you just jump in. Right? That's the course, right? That's the Bible. I know people that have read the Bible since they were kids and they know a chapter and verse and the whole thing. They're never going to put it down. They're never just going to trust, but it's like a doctor, right? Same thing with the course. I know people that have been reading the course since Helen was alive, and like they're never going to put it down. You know, it's funny. I know it's funny, right? But it's like if you're a healer, imagine going to your doctor, and every time you went there, they were reading from the doctor's book of physicians and surgeons, you'd be like, I don't think this guy knows what he's doing. I wonder if this guy's qualified. He keeps looking at the book. You know, it's kind of funny. So there's a point in you where salvation takes hold and you've accepted it. Once you've accepted it, the channel is open and you become literally the living embodiment of the Spirit. However that is, for you personally and individually, your own association is going to be perfect through you, for you, including you, and everything that's associated with you will be able to vibrate in harmonic resonance with it. Right? It'll just automatically happen. Right? One of the things that I like about the course is it doesn't matter where you're at in your own process. It doesn't matter where you're at in your own idea of I'm on a spiritual journey, I'm on the path, I'm learning something. It just picks you up. Right? As soon as you open that book, there is no world. As soon as you open that book, nothing real can be threatened, etc. It just picks you up and you're like, aha. You can't argue with it. All right. All of a sudden, for the first time in your life, there's something you can't argue with because you don't know what it's saying. Right? The continuity of you being able to not argue with something is literally the doorway to being able to go beyond what it's saying into something else.
Yes.
Everything else is just an attempt to argue with it. Right? Everything else is just an attempt to have a better life in the dream. I don't like the world. I wish it was different. But you don't ever actually want to give up the world and follow me. You just want a better version of it.
Yes.
Right? And you'll argue and argue and argue, but surely Jesus, what about the little children? Surely Jesus, what about that country at war? Surely Jesus, what about this, that, and the other? There's always going to be some reason why you're going to want to argue with Jesus. Always. He knows that. I know that. You know it somewhere. At some point, there's a place where you realize this is futile. What's the point of me continuing to argue? I may as well just surrender completely and go home. That's the action of mind that you wake up with in the morning. Give up the world and follow me. That's the action of mind that you look at everything throughout the day with as a way of seeing. Give up the world and follow me. not just give up the bits you don't like. It's all or nothing. You can't serve two masters. It's either hot or cold. You're either in or you're out. You either want salvation or you don't. You don't get it on your own terms, you know, which is why you need a miracle. It's like Alice in Wonderland. She fell down the rabbit hole. Right? She spent all her time running around, trying to figure it out, trying to work out what was going on, until finally she just realized, I don't need this. I can go.
Right.
Right. But the idea that you would run around going to tea parties and avoiding things, and the Queen of Hearts, you know, and she's chasing you. There's a whole drama that goes on there if you want the drama.
Yep.
Right. It's like, hang on a minute. I'm doing this to myself.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how to not do this to myself, because doing this to myself is all I've ever known. Doing this to myself is the way I've structured my thinking. It served me very well up until Jesus fucked it up. If Jesus had never come along, I'd be doing this to myself until the end of time and walking along with a big brass band. Da, 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 da. You know, I'm doing this to myself. Look at me do some more. All of that kind of stuff. It's fantastic, Doug. You love doing it to yourself. We just don't like to do it to ourselves too much. Especially now we're aware that we're getting the results of our own thinking. It's like, oh, hang on a minute. Too much gusto on the cymbals, too much on the trumpet. You know, it's like at some point, I don't want the fanfare and the thing, and I don't want whatever the opposite of it is, either the boredom and the dullery. Just is, just be, just I am. There will always be another story. There will always be another drama. There will always be another situation to make into something in your own mind that you're going to want to look at. But when are you going to come home? It's perfectly okay to jump the queue, you know. When I was talking about the dominoes, there's no real sequence. It's just a way of trying to explain something. Your domino's ready to fall. It already fell somewhere in your own mind. Right? It's already happened in you because Christ already ascended. When are you going to let that be? You're free, Doug. You're free. I'm free. Together, our freedom is guaranteed of our union, guarantee of our oneness, our sonship, our reality. I went home. I saw you there. It's like Jesus says, when, Holy Son, when? What are we going to do? Attend course meetings for the next 50 years? Go to therapy groups? It's like, come on. Oh, I'm free? You mean I'm free now? Yes.
Right.
You're free now. There's nothing to fix. There's no problem to solve. It's already been done. Simply accept it, that it's already been done, and you'll be free of the necessity to think that you had anything to do with it in the first place. Oh, it's already been done. How did that happen? By the grace of God. How did I think there was something that actually had to be done in the first place? By the grace of God. You mean I can just live by the grace of God? Yes, by the grace of God. the greatest act of forgiveness you're ever going to have to take on board is to forgive me for telling you it's just a dream. I'm sorry, Doug, this was a dumb idea. And by the way, it's just a dream. By the way, it's all an illusion. Sorry about that. Anna's glitching in and out. What's going on with you, Anna? Doug's free. What about you? Are you free? Should we just go to light and just
Oh.
Yeah, just I don't know.
Right, exactly. You've been doing the same thing as Doug.
Ugh.
Yeah. Damn it, Doug.
Denial buddies.
Now when I hear the word Doug, you're doing the same thing as Doug.
Right, but at least you're laughing.
All you can do is laugh
Pretty
or
much.
cry or both.
Whatever.
I do
Yep.
that all the time. I cry and then I laugh.
That's good. That's the activity of the Holy Spirit in you. Did you know that? When you
Yeah, I
start
do
crying,
know
you
that.
release, right. And it just automatically, it shifts into laughter. It's like, how did that happen? I was crying a second ago and now I'm pissing myself laughing. That's good. All right. Well, you need to hang out with Doug more because he doesn't get that one yet. He gets it, but he doesn't get it. You know, when you put your finger on your nose and it just like keeps slipping off a little bit and you're like, oh, hang on.
If somebody's really screwed up, you can say, oh, you're pulling a Doug.
Yeah, exactly. I think if we look in the Urban Dictionary, it's what all the kids have these days. That we used to have the Oxford Dictionary when I was a kid, and it was very precise, and it was the one that you used, you know, and then Webster's came along, and then, oh, no, that'll never do. We have the Oxford version. Now there's the Urban Dictionary. It just gets worse, and there's words in there that you don't even know exist. It's like, I'm not going to open it because I don't have any time left to atone for all those words and the meanings that people are going to give them in the future. It's like I've done my little, my garden. I've mowed my lawn. I've trimmed my hedges. I've painted the fence. It's time to go. But I'm sure Doug's in there.
There's a dance actually attached to it. So
There's a what?
There's a dance. The Dougie. Look it up.
There's a Dougie dance?
There's a Dougie dance. So it's a whole thing.
Does everybody all fall down at the end, like on their knees? And like,
Pretty much. It's really popular. Look it up. So we can do that. Dougie.
I'm not going to look it up. I can't atone for that. That's Doug. Look at the responsibility you have. Far-reaching icon of transcendental denial. You. What do you do with it? It's lucky salvation's a game that happy children play. Because I'll tell you what, if we had to take it too seriously, we'd be screwed. What about you?
I think of you saying that during the daytime, your voice comes through about salvation is a happy game that children play.
No, salvation is a game that happy children play, not a happy game that children play.
I can't even get that right.
That was our lesson yesterday, right?
The correction is instantaneous, Doug.
I know. Thank you.
Just say yes. Just say yes.
I need an instantaneous correction.
Right. It's like Peter, you know, when Jesus goes up the mountain and sees, I think it was Moses and Isaiah or whatever, and Peter and Simon, I think, were the two disciples that go up with him. And I'm pretty sure it was Peter that said, oh, let's build three temples here, one for Jesus and one for Moses, one for Isaiah. Jesus is like, idiot. Missed the whole thing. You're always just missing the whole thing. That's the whole continuum. It's like you miss it by that much. You know, There's always the attempt to try and structure something in time and space, whether you want to build a temple to something or make up some kind of ideology around some kind of, I don't know, you know what I mean? It's like the mind that is in denial always wants to take something that's so simple and so obvious and turn it into some structured kind of conflagration that people can wonder about forever and ever and ever, rather than actually seeing what it is that represented in the first place, right? It's like religion. Religion is that. It's like Jesus did his whole thing, said, here, look, Thomas, put your fingers, you know, like, look at that, you know, and then a whole religion based on St. Thomas and, you know, like Thomas is this and Thomas is that. Automatically there's a story, and a story builds to a following, and a following builds to a structure, and a structure, but you've got a whole world of stuff based on denial rather than hearing the message. And the mind becomes fixated on the denial because it thinks it can understand that. How does a man resurrect from the dead? Can't understand that. Hey, but look at those holes in his hands. They're pretty cool. You know, look, there's Moses and Isaiah. Let's build some temples. Temples are good. People understand temples. They have a purpose. But it's like anything but let that in. Imagine if you had Moses and Isaiah appear in your lounge room. You're sitting there watching the evening news. All of a sudden, two of the prophets from biblical times turn up just in your lounge room. You wouldn't know what to do with it, would you? What do you do with that? Do you build a temple? It's like that's what the mind wants to do. The mind wants to build something in honor of that which it doesn't understand so that it thinks it can understand it. And it actually thinks that it can make it understandable by building the monuments, by building the temples, by putting it into a form association. You can't understand it. Where did they come from? How did they get in my house? What are they doing standing in front of my TV? I can't see what's going on the TV. Who are these crazy guys? You know, anything other than be blown away and let the mind open, like just, you know, who's that guy that wrote The Disappearance of the Universe? And he had two prophets or whatever appear in his lounge room talking to him. I'd be so flabbergasted I couldn't pick up a pen and paper and write a book.
Right.
It's like, what the hell? How do you even do that? It's like, I'd be straight away like, where did these guys come from? There must be a door in time and space somewhere. I want to find it. I don't have time to write a book called The Disappearance of the Universe and all this other crap. It's like, wait a minute. How did you guys get in here? Because I've been trying to get out. But let me just write a book about that. Let me just build a temple. Let me miss the whole wonder of the moment, the whole wonder of the incredible, miraculous moment that is occurring in my life right now, so I can put it into some kind of orchestrated association so I think I can understand it because I'm going to give it a meaning then. You know, it's bizarre. It's just bizarre. Let's all make pointy hats and wear big wooden crosses around our necks and wear robes and all sorts of things like that, so as it gives some kind of meaning to that which we don't understand. No, just accept you don't understand it and allow yourself to undergo the devastation of that emptiness, of that non-understanding, just for an instant, and pop out the other side and have the experience of it, what it's actually there for. You know? It's funny stuff. It's like kids in a sand pit, really. It's like little kids in a sand pit. You got the kid there, he's got the truck making the roads and the hills or whatever. And it's like, as the parent, you want to give the kid the new truck in the box, but he's so addicted to the old truck. He knows everything. He knows how it works. He knows the whole thing. Here's a new truck. It's bigger and better. It's going to be able to do new things for you. It's like, yeah, but that means I've got to let go of the old truck first. I've only got 2 hands. Let me try and work out how I can hold both trucks. You can't give up the truck and follow me. Give up the truck and follow me. There's another truck waiting. You're just not going to see it until you give up the old one. Take the leap of faith first, and then you'll be supported. You can't stand on the precipice looking down, wondering if God's down there somewhere. It's like, what if I step out and God's not there? Then you'll fall to your death. Because that ain't faith. That's not faith. Oh, death. I like death. I'll do that. Death is great. I've died many times. I keep popping back up here to see where my tombstone is. It's funny. What about you, Tina? I like your do-rag. It's, is that a new one?
No, I've worn this before. You didn't know I was black the other day.
I know. That was an actual, that was a trick. I was just thinking that looks very African, the do-rag you have on your head now. It's like it's really African looking.
Yeah, I just figured I probably should. No, I'm kidding.
So I don't miss it that you're black.
So you keep seeing the Christ.
I see the Christ, all right. I just didn't realize that your avatar was black. That's so funny.
I know. I was like, what? I thought you were kidding. Like, what?
No, it was. Well, you have these moments. You have these moments where something just drops in. You know, you'll have a penny drop moment. You'll be like, there is no world. Oh, boing. There is no world. You know, like nothing I see means anything. Boing. Oh, Tina's black. Boing. It's like, what the hell?
I was like, what? Yeah. Yeah.
I know, it's bizarre. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
I have those all the time. I don't know whether it's senility and just the aging process of the avatar association or whether it's actually just something in my, you know, I don't really focus on the body enough to notice things about people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, you see the body, but you look beyond it. And the idea, I mean, I was quite excited that I realized you were black. Your body. I was more excited that I hadn't noticed before.
Right. I was like, what?
How did I not notice that?
I feel like I've had that too. I don't really realize that that I'm black. Or that I'm the only black person in the room. And I'm like,
I never
right.
think I'm this.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I guess.
You get out of the shower sometimes and you look in the mirror and you're like, really? I'm this? Of all the things I could have been, in denial of time and space, I chose this.
Yeah.
Why don't I look like Sean Penn or one of those, you know, I don't know. Is he good looking?
Used to be.
Anyway, it is what it is. So what's going on with you anyway, apart from...
feeling pretty good. You know, like my sister Anna. Oh, I know. And Doug, back and forth, up and down. Today's lesson, you were saying, that I am amongst the ministers of God.
Really? That's today's? I'm among the ministers of God?
You're tomorrow for me. But then that part, I'm grateful that I can recognize that I am free. Yeah, that's been pretty cool. And you were kind of talking about that, like I'm grateful.
Here's one for Doug. Lesson 233. I give my life to God to run today. That's for you, Doug.
I'll take it.
Says me keeping my finger on my nose. Thanks for joining me in that idea of healing. So I'm among the ministers of God.
Yeah.
What a preposterous idea.
And I am grateful that I can recognize I'm free, something like that. Here I have it here.
Well, they're pretty highfalutin ideas, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I had a sweet moment though yesterday. It was kind of
Really?
sweet. I did, yeah.
Go for it.
I had a dentist. I mean, it's a
If
story.
we're
It's
going
a
to talk
story.
about the past, it may as well be sweet.
Well, yeah. I had a dentist appointment, and I know it's a story, but there was another
So-
shooting yesterday. Another
What?
shooting. Yeah, and there was one today. There was one yesterday, last week. Anyway, there's another shooting. I don't know because I don't.
You guys love your shootings. What the hell's going on
Yeah,
over
bang
there?
bang. Cowboys and Indians here. So, but I didn't know because I don't really follow anything. So I knew I was at the dentist, and there was this older guy in a wheelchair, and we're waiting to go in, and he says, "Did you hear about the shooting?" So I was like, oh, "Okay, here we go. Here's my mind. Let's see what's going to happen."
Yeah.
So he starts talking about the shooting, but it was really, really sweet. He's telling me about the shooting, and then he says to me, he says, "It's like Pandora's box." And Gregory told a story about Pandora's box last week, so it was fresh in my mind. So he goes, "It's like Pandora's box." He says, "We're doing it to ourselves." And I was like, "Oh, of course." He goes, "The box gets opened up, all of these things are coming up and coming out." And then he said, "So we're doing it to ourselves. So we have to take responsibility." And then he flipped that and made it the politicians, the ones that were responsible. So I was like, okay, so we're gonna kind of be responsible, but place the blame. But I'm like watching my mind. And then he says, "So someone's gonna have to answer for this when they go to heaven, they're gonna have to answer for this." So I was like, okay. And then he went, "But you know what? God loves them so much. He's gonna forgive them anyway. He's gonna let them in because God loves them so much." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." Like my mind wanted to go there, and then it just came back to, it's all good. And then I said to him, I didn't really know this part about the story, but Gregory had said it last week. I said, "Well, there's another part to that story, Pandora's box." She opens it up, and these all the evils come out, and in her fear, she closes the box. And there's one more thing that's left in there, and that's hope. So I was able, I didn't know that story until Gregory said that story, but I was able to say that to him. And he was like, "There's hope." And I go, "Yeah, there's hope." So anyway, that's my sweet story.
You have some good characters in your dream.
Don't I? Don't I?
I know. It must be because you live in Little India or Pakistan or wherever you live in.
I was not far from my neighborhood. The whole dentist thing has been like a really healing thing. I knew it was not about, when this whole thing happened last year, that it wasn't just about like getting my dentist stuff worked out, because it was really random. But that this was going to be a really nice healing, and it has been. Like I've had miracles on the bus. Like I've gotten on the bus, and like the bus has been like fighting. Like the bus is fighting, and I.
What do you mean the bus is fighting?
The bus was fighting. I got on the bus.
People on the bus are fighting?
People on the bus are fighting. I got on the bus one time, and it was crazy the way that it all worked out. I got on the bus, and the bus is like in an uproar. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is the bus I'm going to be on. And then I realized it was two people that were fighting with the entire bus. So it was two people. So I was like, all right, Holy Spirit, how do you see this? And there was a guy, what he was saying was things like, he was fighting with everybody about the mask. And he was saying things like, "You're giving up your freedom and your blah, blah, blah." Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, Holy Spirit, how do you want me to, or how do you see this? So when I just got really quiet and was listening to what he was saying, it wasn't so bad. I was like, okay, freedom, creativity. So I just got really still. The bus sort of quieted down. He quieted down. There were still things happening, but he was still saying his things, but it wasn't so like chaotic. But then when he went to get off of the bus, I always stand in the door. So when he went to get off the bus, because I always have a lot of stuff, he came right to my face like this. And he said, "What's up?" I go, "What's up, brother?" And he said, "Did you hear what I said?" I said, "Yeah, I heard everything you said." So I repeated back to him what he said. And he was like, oh, you know, you're queen. I said, yeah, my father's a king. And he was just like, right on. And then I just like, I go, don't trip. So I stepped out of the way, and then he just got off the bus. And that was my story on the bus that day. So anyway, yeah. The end.
You should rename your neighborhood like Little Iraq or something. You always have these strange.
I know I have the best things happening in my neighborhood. Just really.
You know, we have buses here, and people just sit on them, and no one talks to each other. And look straight ahead. It's so weird. You get on there, and you feel like doing a jig or something, you know, and just stirring it all up. It's like.
No, there's always something going on. I mean, it's just cool. It's really sweet. It's always something. I'm always trying to just check it out and see what's happening. But yeah, that's how I feel. I'm feeling okay.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah.
And Anna's good. Anna's doing the same thing as Doug. Laurie's good. All right. What are we going to do today then? We've done a bit of a round robin. I'll finish my hot chocolate.
Oh, how are you?
Oh my God.
Because we didn't join on Wednesday, and I sort of I felt a little like I missed that, even though it was like 1 a.m, and I felt a little bit of gratitude because I was really tired that day. And
you're glad I wasn't here?
Well, I was a little bit at the time, like, because I felt like I was doing too many things, and I was just feeling all over the place.
I feel so loved.
Well, no, let me just say this, but I missed it. Like, we didn't do it, and I was kind of feeling like, oh, I'm very grateful to have that.
How could you miss it? You're supposed to carry it with you everywhere you go.
I noticed that how I really do sort of need that.
Right.
I feel like I need that, like that little moment.
Codependent, miserable
a
association.
A bit, I suppose. I was grateful for the sleep, but I woke up a little like, oh. But you said that, how are you with that? Are you good?
I never know how to answer those questions, really.
Okay.
Like,
you ask us to answer them.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of important, like you have to be able to see these places where you're honest with yourself about what's going on. And it's like, even though this is just a Zoom meeting, it's kind of like a safe place where you can just open up and say whatever you need to say. Nobody really gives a shit. It's just like, we're all in the admission that we're all screwed up here. We're all in the admission we all need help. We need a miracle. It's like one particular story doesn't matter in the frame of reference to any other particular story. It's all just a story. But yeah, this week I had a good story going on.
Very good.
I just had to sit and be still and let it pass. It's just energy, right? The stories are just energy. All your thoughts are just energy. Everything's just an association that you have. And if you try to look at it and work it out, all you're doing is feeding it. All you're doing is giving it more energy to be something that you think you have to work out, rather than just to let it be and this too shall pass. Just let it be and it'll just dissipate like mists before the sun. But sometimes that letting it be can take a minute. It's like you got to sit there with it. It's like, all right, I have these emotions, let's say. I have this emotion, because you can't lie about your emotions. You can lie about your thoughts, right? Oh, I'm okay. My thoughts are okay. I'm doing okay. That's a lot of shit, right? That's a whole crock. It's like, who the hell is doing okay? You find yourself in time and space on this roller coaster of a ride that's headed to a 6-foot hole with a wooden pine box. I'm okay. No, no, actually, we're not okay. So in every given moment, I need a miracle. In every given moment, I've got to be that miracle. I've got to be able to join with where that's at in my own mind. Right? It's like hitting the reset button. When your phone glitches or something and you just restart it? It's like, I'll just restart my phone. It's exactly the same thing. Exactly. I'll just stop what I'm doing for a second, restart everything, and let the Holy Spirit put it all back into place how it's meant to be. That's how it happens. So I had a moment this week that I don't even know if it's done in here, but I don't know what out there in time and space. Everything tends to be relative to time, and everything out there is slow time. So it may still yet show up again. But I had this moment show up this week where I was feeling very victimized, which was fantastic. I couldn't recognize it at first. It was is victimized a word? I think. But anyway, I was just felt that energy come up, and it felt like being a victim. And so I started to make a story about what victim is, right, in my mind, and make a reassociation with the idea of someone doing something to me and all of this whole thing. It's like, hang on a minute. And you just have to sit there and let that reach its logical conclusion, right? I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to sit here and feel how I'm feeling because my emotions are honest. My mind's going to want to spin a story to it because it loves to understand everything that it thinks is going on and put it into a little pigeonhole. This is this and this is that, right? Somewhere as the observer of what seems to be going on, I know that none of it's true. It's all an illusion. So you just let it be. And it has nowhere to go. As soon as you refuse to invest in it, as soon as you refuse to buy into it and write on the blank slate, it has nowhere to go. It just dissipates. And so it just kind of dissipated, but it took a few days. There was a moment where I just knew I had to shut everybody out for a second and just sit in it, you know, and just breathe and just everything. Like, so Wednesday night, I couldn't do Wednesday night. It's like, no, I'm right in the middle of all of this stuff coming up. If I do Wednesday night, it's just going to, you know, like I'll put a whole damper on it and whatever, and I want to catch it while it's fresh, you know, because you can easily look at something in retrospect and it's never as poignant as when it is when you're looking at it right in the moment. You know, somebody says something to you on the bus right in your face. It's like, you can't avoid that. You're feeling some sort of emotional thing in the moment. You can't avoid it. If you try to put it off to later, it's never going to have the same signature as when you dealt with it then. It's never going to have the same value. It'll be like something that's in memory, committed to memory. Oh, I remember feeling something, but I don't quite feel it now. You know, it's more valuable to you and more helpful if you can sit with it in the moment when it's actually coming up, when it's, you know, which is why where Jesus says, give up the world and follow me. And the merchant says, well, let me just go and sell my stuff in the market first, right? The whole thing is that parable. The whole play out of healing is that parable. It's like the kingdom of heaven waits for no man. It's like in the moment where I see that I'm still invested in the world, that's when I'm being called upon to give it up. I'm being shown that I can make a choice here. I can choose again, put my finger on my nose. What do I want here? Do I want to follow Jesus, or do I want to deal with some drama? Do I want to, you know, avoid it until later? However that is. It's like I remember being in Byron Bay looking at the baked beans. I think I've told you you guys this story, but trying to decide between ham sauce baked beans and cheesy flavored baked beans. And I only had enough money for one of the tins of baked beans. I didn't have enough, like, because I had no job, no money, nothing. I had like $3 in my pocket, but I knew I could eat beans for a whole day. And in that moment, something just erupted spontaneously in me, and I wanted to run out of the supermarket. There was like this anxiety or this incredible rush of energy, right? But because I'd been doing mind training, I realized, don't adjust to this. This is a valuable moment. Let it happen. And I stood there hanging on tight to my trolley, and I started crying like a baby, like, wow, just like it just started coming out, and I couldn't stop it. And everybody around me just gave me heaps of space and cleared the aisle, basically. And I was there for about 10 minutes in the middle of Woolworths. Like, this is a big shopping center, like screaming my lungs out in, I don't know what it would have sounded like to anyone else. And I can't even remember now whether I got the beans or not, but like the moment was there. You know, I seized that moment to allow that energy to come up and be released, because I knew I was in a curriculum and a modality of practicing the release of temporal association in my willingness to say yes to Jesus. I'm giving up the world, I'm following you. It's like, I'm giving up the world and following Jesus now, not tomorrow when it's more convenient for me. Not next week when maybe I don't feel in such a shitty way, but right now when I feel in the shitty way, right now when it's happening. Because the only thing that's ever possibly happening in me is the activity of the Holy Spirit, because that's all there is. I can call it something else. I'm having a nervous breakdown. But it's not. What am I going to do? Trust my doctor or trust the Holy Spirit? My doctor's always going to tell me I'm having a nervous breakdown, or I've got something going on. I need to take more rest or do more exercise or quit smoking or something stupid to verify that I'm a body. Or I choose to allow the Holy Spirit to be the arbiter of everything that's occurring in me, through me, and in all the world, and put all my faith in that. And in so doing, take another step in following Jesus across those hills of Galilee, give up the world and follow me. Choose, you know, that's where it's always at. Choose. So on Wednesday, I had to choose. On Wednesday, I had all this energy come up, and it's like, all right, I'm on my way home. I've got to tell Tina I'm not, I could feel it. I knew it was big. It wasn't going anywhere. I knew I wasn't going to be able to attend to the Zoom meeting, and I knew I better just tell you. But I didn't put off what I was doing to tell you that. I just sort of, I kept it there, you know, like I kept it there. And then when I got home, I just sat, and it's like, I don't know. It felt like I sat for about 5 or 6 hours, but I think probably about an hour in real time.
I heard it in your message. I could hear that.
Yeah, right.
You were like, no Zoom, gotta go.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect.
But it's good. I
totally
enjoy those moments, you know. There's like, and you never know what the trigger is going to be. You never know what the catalyst is going to be for those healing moments. You know, but it can look like, I can't even remember what it was. It's done in my head now, but it was like there was something happened during that day. I think I might have got a message or something, and it just triggered off a load of stuff. And it's like everything, the house of cards started to fall. You know, it was cool.
You know what?
But anyway,
you said, sorry. You said something earlier. I'm not sure if it was to Doug or Anna. I think it was, well, whatever, about the prayer, like not wanting to do, when these things come up, like not really wanting to pray and ask for the miracle. I did notice that something was going on. And again, I don't really remember what it was this week, but something was going on. And I was like, I just need a miracle. You know, I don't want to figure this out. This is coming up. I just need a miracle. And I went to pray, and I watched myself like set my alarm. You know, like this prayer is going to be 20 minutes long. You know, I'm going to pray really hard for. Yeah, I did. I watched myself do that, and I realized, like, that's not prayer. That's not like I'm going to sit on my knees until this is done in me. It's like, you got 20 minutes to get this together. I only have 20 minutes, and I'm going to get back to my world. That's kind of that whole like, give up the world and follow me. And, you know, I will for 20 minutes or whatever. So anyway, I just noticed that as you were talking about that, I noticed that. And then I noticed at the time I noticed it, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to set the alarm. And how hard it was to stay in it. I wanted a healing, so I said, but how hard it was to stay in prayer without any kind of limit that I had wanted to give myself. So anyway, that realization that despite my protestations, I still kind of want to, like, you know.
Yeah.
I want both trucks. Everything. I want both of them. I want this old one and the new one.
Good luck with that.
I know, but no, I'm grateful to be able to see it. So yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you for saying that.
That's good you can see it. There would have been a time in your life where you wouldn't have even been aware of it.
No.
You would have thought that was fine. I'll just spend 20 minutes with God.
He only asked for 10 that day, so.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, block number 1, that is. You know, the 4 blocks. The first block is the desire to get rid of peace. Right, the desire to get rid of peace is like, I don't want God. God's going to wreck my dream. I just want God on my own terms. I just want a version of God that makes me feel better about myself. Not actually God as it is, because then I would have to let go of everything in the dream that I think I want. And what if I don't get it back? It's like a good addict, you know, like an alcoholic or something, and their life goes to hell again and again and again. Their life goes to hell, and their prayers are always along those lines. I'll stop drinking, God, if you make this situation better for me, I'll stop drinking. There's always this kind of like bartering and, you know, a kind of limitation to what God can do based on what I think I need. It's just like, that's never going to work. You have no clue what you need, and you don't know what your best interests are. You don't know the meaning of life. You don't know anything. You're just some chick with a do-rag. It's, you know, it's funny. It's funny stuff. It's like the most honest moments, the most beautiful moments that you'll have in this are in those moments where you realize your own insanity, your own, you know, I wouldn't call them humbling moments particularly, because you're a child of God. There's no need for humility in you, but they're moments where you laugh at yourself for the actual right reason. You see what it is. It's like the little kid with his finger in the dike, you know. If it takes a kid to put his finger in the dike, the whole dike is useless. The massive feat of engineering, and it's just like one kid stops the whole thing from collapsing by sticking his finger in it. It's like, it doesn't matter how grandiose your schemes are. So Jesus is just going to come along and put his finger in it and show you exactly how useless the whole thing is. You know, your prayer, it's like your idea of prayer. That's what the finger in the dike is. It's like, I'm going to offer my prayer like it's going to be the answer to all my problems. It's like, no, your prayer and your ideas of prayer are the problem. It's like there's an idea of prayer in you that is so sacred, that is so perfect, that you don't even have anything to do with it. You don't even have anything to say about it. It's going to come along in a moment where you're so completely out of your depth. And that'll be the end. That'll be the end of the old dream and the beginning of a new one. Until then, it's just fingers in the dike. I can fix this problem. I'll stick my finger in it. I'll put my finger into this pie and that pie and every other goddamn pie. Right. I never know how anyone ever gets to the point, you know, where when you're studying the idea that this is just a dream, just an illusion, and where the experience actually dawns upon your mind. It's like that transition. Jesus talks about it as the borderland, where you go from your old dream to the new dream, the dream of denial to the happy dream. It's like that transition. It's like, how the hell do you get from where you were to where you find yourself as heal and whole in your own recognition of yourself experientially, right? You can't even imagine it. And yet the mind attempts to imagine it every single tick of the clock, every single moment throughout the day. I'll do my lesson. And the same mind jumps in, picks up the book. Oh, I read that. I know what it says. I know what that means. It's like, no, you have no clue. Right? These are just words on a page. These are symbols that represent something else that you don't even know about. Jesus is telling you you don't know about it. He's telling you somewhere in your mind you know about it, but in this frame of reference, you don't know about it. You need a whole other reference point to be able to begin to come to an understanding and a knowledge of it. Right? And understanding is the correct reference. Right? I stand under God. Right? That's a place of co-creatorship. Right? That ego voice, that voice that likes to speak for the temporal association of things, would completely obliterate God if it could. Not because it has any intention to completely obliterate God, but only because it perceives itself as being under threat, and the only way it knows how to do anything about it is to destroy stuff, annihilate stuff. I'll block you on Facebook. Now imagine that 1 trillion times bigger. Right? Never underestimate the power of mind in denial. The tiniest little sigh of discontent is the murder of God's Son. It's like every single unhappy thought. And yet never have you had an unhappy thought. You're completely happy to be thinking that you could kill God. I'll sit here in a Zoom meeting postulating these ideas of killing God in the back of my mind whilst participating in my own salvation. Right? That's the ego's view on things, right? And it sees that as potential right up until that moment where it realizes that it's caught in its own trap and it can't go beyond what its agenda is, because it would include its own obliteration. If it were actually to be successful at obliterating God, God being the creative source of all things, including the idea of the ego, it would actually obliterate itself. So it doesn't allow you to actually see that it wants to obliterate God. It just allows you to see that you're trying to run things on your own show, keep things on a level where you think you can manage, right? But in the background, it's far more sinister. In the background, it's just like, I can kill you if I want to. You know, there's horrible stuff. There's kids that run around with guns in schools and shooting each other and whatever. You know, there's no blinkers, there's no blinders on kids like that. You know, that insanity that thinks it can solve its problem through destruction, that insanity that thinks that its only way out is to destroy and to obliterate and to deny everything so it can have peace, or it can have life according to what it thinks life is or should be for it. You know, that's in me. That's my mind. That's the potential. Every single person with 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 eyes, and a nose on the planet has that walking around inside of them, but tries to keep it contained to this sort of like mediocre experience of what the average human being should be. Right? But under the surface, it's simmering away. And then when you start doing these lessons, you start to realize what's down there. Right? This is a journey into fear. You start to realize how crazy it can be, which is why you need to do this with the Holy Spirit and not be trying to work it out with your own thoughts. Your own thoughts do not have your best interests at heart. They don't mean anything, and they're designed completely to obliterate you and the world. You know what I mean? The separation didn't begin with the world. The separation didn't start with time and space. The idea of separation occurred in eternity. Into eternity, where all is one, there crept a tiny mad idea at which the Son of God remembered not to laugh. And in his forgetting, did the idea become serious and possible of serious effects, right? So where this is healed is at a place that is kept safe for you. Where this is healed in your own mind is at a place that you can't get to. Okay? You can't get there You can't corrupt it. You can't fuck it up. If you could, you would. Because that's the running program of the ego mind. And you've already seen how fragile that can be on a day-to-day basis, just with your own particular affairs. One day you're good, the next day you're all over the place, right? Why would you trust the keys to the kingdom to anyone like that? All of reality, the whole of time and space being basically a containment or a prison. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm seeing the world as a prison. It's like, well, let me just for a second take that on board. Maybe it is a prison. Maybe it's a place where I can't really hurt myself. Maybe it's a place where I've been put so that I can actually learn to make new choices and new decisions about myself so that I'll stop self-harming. Because if I try to self-harm in reality, if I try to self-harm in eternity, it could have catastrophic effects. Luckily, that's impossible. But God knows his beloved son in whom he's well pleased, and he knows that his son must awaken. You're dreaming. This is a dream. It's an illusion. None of it's real. It's like, all right, I can't trust me with sharp objects. I can't trust me with guns. I can't trust me with anything. And you know, the funny thing about that is I like to run around pointing the finger at everybody else. Look what that idiot just did. Look what that crazy person just did, right? I wouldn't know what idiot or crazy person is unless it's an idea in my mind that I've given a meaning to, that I'm responding to as if it was somehow some part of my reality. That's what's crazy. Not what seems to be going on out there. What's going on in here? That's what's crazy. Jesus is already telling me my reality is whole and perfect and eternal. Perfectly peaceful, unconditional love. This is Pandora's box. You're in it. You are the demons. You are all that stuff. It's not your reality, but it's how you present yourself here. It's how you find yourself here, trying to tell yourself and kid yourself that you're not. And it's like, oh, I see. I'm in the nut house with all the other crazy people trying to convince myself I'm not crazy. It's only in the admission of your insanity that you're healed. It's only crazy people don't know they're crazy. As soon as you can see you're crazy, you cease to be crazy. You're sane. As soon as you can see you're insane, you're sane again. Right? As soon as you can see what you're doing to yourself, it's like, oh, holy crap, I've been doing this to myself. I'll just stop doing that. Right? But Jesus is telling you, this is going to take a minute. We're going to give you this book, and we're just going to see how you go with that. We'll give you some other guys that are all in the nut house with you, and we'll all do this book together. And we'll get it? It's funny stuff. You learn to laugh at yourself. Oh, it's like Monty Python. How sweet to be an idiot. Right? It's like, this is 365 lessons for dummies. It's like, oh, thank God. At least if I'm a dummy, I can know what I am with confidence. At least if Jesus is telling me that I'm all screwed up, at least I've got that as something that I can count on. It's like, oh yeah, okay. All right, I'm all screwed up. I need a miracle. Right? Now, don't stop and make screwed up the new identity. All right? Because that's what screwed up likes to do. Screwed up likes to make screwed up and being screwed up the new identity. You see all these posts about people that are going through rehab and stuff on social media. It's like all these little 19-year-old princesses that have been an alcoholic for like 3 months and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm 10 days clean. It's like it's the new identity. It's the whole new me. Look at me, you know, like this whole thing. It's like, nah, that's not it either. You try sticking a needle in your arm for 20 years and breaking and entering, trying to get what you want, and you know, bashings and murders and like, and then tell me what your new identity is. I might listen to you for a minute, but it's like, it's crazy stuff. Spirituality becomes, unfortunately, becomes the new narcissistic pursuit, I guess. You know, it's like it becomes the thing that, it's like a pastime. You know, Jesus says, give up the world and follow me. And it's like, if you really heard that and really did it, you'd be gone from here immediately. If you really, truly said yes, right? If God spoke from the sky to you tomorrow and said, time to go right now, time to go, what are you going to do? Oh, what about my kids? I've just got to tell some people that I'm going. It's like, nah, missed it. Too late. Missed it, right? It's literally in the moment. Yes, Lord. Here I am, Lord. Give up the world and follow me. Yes, Jesus. It's that unreserved yes. It's that unreserved willingness to just be open to whatever, anything, right? It's either that or can you see the pine box? You know, it's like it's there. It's somewhere down the end of the corridor there. 6-foot hole, wooden box. It's like, yes, Lord, I'm saying yes to God, yes to God, yes to God. Now, somewhere in that process of saying yes to God, I'm going to realize the falsity of my yes, but that doesn't matter, right? In my teeny tiny little willingness to even say yes, that's all that the Holy Spirit requires. All my falsity, all my problems along the way, all the stories I want to manufacture about what spiritual is and healing is and all of that other stuff that seems to get in the way of actually the realization of my yes, they don't matter because you're entitled to miracles. Okay? It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter. Truth is true and nothing else matters. Stay in the truth. Stay in the yes. Stay in the here, I'm responsible. Stay in here I am, Lord. In everything, when you're at the supermarket, when you're at your workplace, when you're wherever, it's like, oh, I'm here to represent God. Right? And let the situations that present themselves reveal to you the opportunities to represent God in the place where you want to deny it. Not because it's a place where you think you can represent God, like guys do that stand on the street corners with their Bibles and prophesize about stuff. That's not representing God. That's just talking about a book. That's just saying a load of mumbo jumbo that anyone could do. It's like, what about my own personal atonement? It's going to show up in every relationship that I have with the checkout person, with the doctor, with the optometrist that makes my spectacles, with the whatever. Everything is an opportunity to forgive myself for my preconceived ideas about what I think I am in relationship to other things that denies my one sense of self with all things as the sonship or as the Christship, whatever you want to call it. Right? Sitting there trying to work out how that ought to look, Doug, is the problem. Sitting there trying to work out what the healing is going to look like is the problem. Let me just sit with this and process all this stuff. There's nothing to process. Just sit with it. Sit with it is enough. Just sit in it and stop interfering. All right? Just turn up and let the Holy Spirit use you like a vessel, like a medium, like a conduit. Your words, your talk, your understanding of A Course in Miracles doesn't matter at all. Not a bit. It gets in the way, if anything. Let it be miraculous. Let it be miraculous. The whole thing. I'm just going to turn up and let the light do the work. I'm just going to sit here with my problems and let the light do the work. I'm just going to sit here in my ignorance and let the light do the work, right? Let is the active word. I'm going to let that happen. Okay. I can't work out how to let it happen. I've just got to let it happen. Me trying to work out how to let it happen is the problem. You can't try to do something. You either do it or you don't do it. You can't try to do something. Trying in this is pointless. There's nothing to try at. It's a clear choice. Either give up the world and follow me or don't. It's like, yes, Lord, here I am. And you stay as long as it takes. You draw that circle in the desert and you sit there for 40 days and 40 nights, whatever that looks like for you, and you allow whatever occurs to occur. Can you imagine sitting for 40 days and 40 nights in a circle in the desert? Within about an hour, you're going to be starting to worry about, have you got enough water? That's in the first hour. You got 39 days and 23 hours to go. Everything's going to come up. Everything, literally all of your emotional, all your fear and anxiety and desperation, it's all going to come up as a huge emotional load. And you're going to have to let the Holy Spirit take care of all of it. You're going to have to give it all to the Spirit. You have no choice. You're in the desert. You have no food, no water. I'm sustained by the love of God. Either that or I'm 6-foot whole pine box. That's not something that you get to in 10 years' time when you've mastered the course, even though you still kind of have to master it. You have to overlearn it to learn it. But it's something that's in you now. Right? It's something that we can join in together as an idea of healing, because healing is always shared and ideas are increased by sharing. Right? We can join in the idea of letting go and letting God. I'm going to simply give all of this to God. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to look at it. I don't know how to refabricate it in my mind so it makes sense to me. None of it makes any sense. It's all crazy batshit goo-goo. I'm in the asylum. Why would I try to make sense of the crazy stuff? It's crazy for a reason. It's crazy because it doesn't make sense. That's why it's called crazy. Trying to work out the crazy is just as crazy as, like, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, I can't work it out. It's impossible. I'm just going to sit here and let God take care of this for me. I need a miracle. It doesn't get any easier than that. But as human beings, we love to complicate it. What do you mean a miracle? When you say a miracle, what do you actually mean by a miracle? I've had people ask me that. It's just like, what? Finger on my nose. Am I that crazy? It's a miracle because you can't define it. It's a miracle because you can't work it out. It's a miracle because it's totally beyond your conceptual ability to fathom it at all. Right. This is a leap of faith. This whole life experience that we call the human experience, it's a leap of faith. We tend to gloss that over with everything that seems to go on throughout the day as if I got this, I can do this, I'm mature now, I should be able to run my life and do my whole thing. It's like, look where you are. You're in a Zoom meeting for A Course in Miracles, 365 lessons for people who admitted somewhere in their minds they don't know how the hell life should be or what's going on. There's no mistakes. You're not here by accident. It's funny. You mean all my best thinkings just got me to here? Doug's put his sunglasses on. It's getting a bit bright, isn't it, Doug? Anna wishes she had some sunglasses. She's trying to hide behind the shadow there. You mean I'm the problem? Yes. And I'm the solution? Yes. Good. Any questions? Anything? I like asking if there's any questions because it represents my own doubt. It's like you guys are reflections of my own thing, you know? It's like what I see is I give all the meaning it has to me. It's like I'm one with everything I see. It's like you have to take that on board as your own perspective. So it's different. It's different when you're not concerned about salvation. You just, you know, you can point the finger out there and everything's just everything. But it's like when you follow Jesus, you've got to super glue that finger to the end of your nose. And it's just like, all right, let me just open this up, right? Let me just ask. Let me just bring the mountain to Muhammad. Anna, you're good? Question?
I'm good.
That's slightly troubling. Laurie from
Don't have a
Washington.
question, but I do have a comment.
Go for it.
Okay, well, you have brought home to me some things that have been coming to me recently a lot. And I feel really clear right now with it. And one is I am realizing how strong my allegiance to the belief and the reality of the ego is.
Right.
And that, yes, Jesus has told us that he's done it all. You don't need to do anything. Just trust me and follow me. And yet I believe the ego, when it's saying, oh no, honey, you have to do this and you have to change that,
Right.
and comes up with a whole list of shit I need to do, right?
Right.
And it's like I feel like it kind of all coalesced to me tonight. Like, that's all bullshit.
Good. It is all bullshit. You need
Thank
to do
you.
nothing. You need to do nothing. You're whole and perfect. Just be still and know that I am God. That's all Jesus tells you. Be still and know that I am God.
Mm.
Being still is not really doing anything. It's not like there's a thing that you're actually doing. It's more like your natural state of mind. When the mind is still, it can enter into a communication. It can enter into communion. When the mind is too busy doing this, telling itself stuff and thinking about how it ought to be or shouldn't be or should be and all of this, it's like God sitting back going, oh, when are they going to stop doing that?
Yeah.
I'm waiting to get on with everything here and you guys are just busy playing mind games with yourselves, you know. It's kind of funny.
Mm.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad. There's always something miraculous happening. So, all right, well, just a short one today. It's literally about 50 degrees centigrade here today. It's just crazy. And this is our winter. So no, it's not that hot, but that's how it feels. So I'm going to go and have a swim. Put this body in the holy waters. You know, I got invited to go to, and I'll if it comes around, I'll let you know, you guys, we can all do this junket together and go there to the River Jordan in Israel. A friend of mine, it's where Jesus was baptized. A friend of mine, this is kind of bizarre, but they have a little podium thing right on the edge of the River Jordan, apparently in the exact spot where John baptized Jesus. Right. And it's like a set of steps, you know, like bleachers in a hall, and you sit on it's like there's these bleachers And then there's this thing that goes down and like a little pontoon in the middle of the river, and to mark the spot, right? And my friend just bought 20 acres directly opposite that spot. It's like it has to be one of the most sacred places in the world as a sacred site, and yet land for sale, you know, like it's so funny. It's like directly opposite. He sent me a picture on Facebook of his property from the bank of his property overlooking the River Jordan. And you can see this little, it's sort of in the distance a bit, but you can see this little pontoon and all these people standing there and, you know, splashing the water and whatever. It's kind of bizarre. So he's invited me over there. He doesn't know what to do with his land. He just bought it because he had to buy it, you know, and he's invited me over there. COVID sort of interrupted the whole thing. But I think I'm seriously thinking about saying yes to that and going along. And who knows what anything's for, right? Just turn up and just see what happens. So, but I'll let you know if we do that. I'll let you know. It's the only thing that I sort of have energy for lately. It, you know, sometimes you can look at all things and the possibilities and whatever, and you give it to God. It's like, well, all right, I've been asked to do this and asked to do that, and it's like, yep, I'll just be willing to say yes, and then whatever's in my own best interest, it'll just naturally occur anyway. But there's always that moment where you got to put your intention or your energy into it. It's like, there's no point saying yes if you don't really mean it. You know, there's that honesty. So I said yes, and we'll see what comes of that. But I figure it would be good anyway. Go and visit the Garden of Gethsemane, and you know, who knows, do one of those. There's a guy called, he's on my Facebook page, actually. This is a funny story. Can't think of his name. Oh, John Mark Hammer, J.M. Hammer, his name is now. You know, J.M., J-A-Y-E-M. He used to channel Jesus like 25 years ago. He was channeling Jesus, and he wrote the books, The Way of Mastery, I think.
Yeah, The Way of Mastery.
Tina's got the whole collection because she's a spiritual book junkie.
Yeah.
Right? The Way of Mastery. And then one day he came to, it was about 80 or 90 kilometers from where I was living anyway. And somebody said to me, hey, this guy's doing a talk up at something. Do you want to go along? I'd never heard of him at the time. And then in the journey in the car from the way where we were to where he was, I was presented with, I think it was 2 books he'd written at that time. This is his book and that's his book. And I'd already had the course, and I'm just sort of flipping through it in the backseat of the car on the way to this thing. I don't even know what we're going to. And I'm thinking, this is cool stuff, you know, like this is really good, heart-opening kind of writings that he's got here, this guy. I'd be keen to meet him, you know, like it was really beautiful. And then we got there, and I guess this is expectation, right? But we got there, and I was expecting him to be channeling Jesus or doing something along the line with what he was presenting in his books. And the whole night was about this junket to Israel, trying to get guys to go. I need 11 guys to go to Israel. We're going here, we're going there. It's 10 grand each, this, that, and the other. And I thought, man, this is just a big sales pitch. This whole night is just a big sales pitch for this guy to go to Israel and do whatever. So we're going to do the same thing if I go. Except we're not going there under the delusion that we're going to visit sacred sites. We're going to take the sacred with us and just like spread it around unconditionally wherever we go. So null and void all the individuality of what we consider to be sacred or not sacred in the world. Like, no, it's all sacred. It's all perfect. So I just thought that'd be cool. I can see you there, Doug, swimming in the river. It's a really dirty looking river, actually. The photo he showed me, it's really like chocolate brown. It's not, you know, you imagine Jesus getting baptized and the waters would be pristine green or blue or something. A white dove. The dove was probably like a brown pigeon. It's amazing how everything gets glossed up, you know, like this is the savior we're talking about. We can't have a pigeon. Make it a dove, you scribes. All right, I love you guys. Thanks for joining. Just a short one. Anna, do you have a question? Yeah, you do. You do. You have something. Oh, so tomorrow we're going to do sex. I know everybody likes sex, so we haven't done a sex session before. So if you're coming along to tomorrow's one, wear all your sexy stuff and
The
get in the
last two
zone.
were sex sessions.
Really?
Every Saturday it's a sex, yeah. So I don't know. This one you haven't done a sex, but the ones on Saturday, the last two. Just saying.
Oh, maybe I did it already.
The last, well, you know, we're just giggling and yeah. Look for
No,
them.
that was you girls. I said something and you girls took it straight to the gutter.
I'm gonna just look at it. It's called
that was you and Gemma. I said something because what's her name?
I don't want to
Anthea
even do the hand gesture that you did.
Anthea had a stiff tongue. That's what it was.
That was last week, but the week before, the name of the video is something like taboo, something taboo.
Watch it again.
Nothing's
Really?
taboo or something. Yes.
Well, nothing is taboo.
Well, the title is correct. With the talk, that's what we're talking about.
Human beings are pretty simple though, like food, sex, and you know, there's not too much else we're really interested in. It's the survival thing, you know, like we got to eat and we got to procreate. So it's like the manufacturing of stock. Like, I think I did talk about it actually. I think I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You told us about
All
your
right.
we're gonna do it again.
Miraculous. No.
No. All right, so no
Not
announcement
unless-
needs to be made.
Not
Okay.
unless it's a given. If it's a given thing to do it again, I'll do it again. But we'll just see. We'll let it be miraculous.
Yay.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right, love ya.